Yesterday, I went on the air and I criticized a former NFL football player, a great football player. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. A man by the name of Antonio Brown. If you don't know who Antonio Brown is, he has a history. He has a history of criminality, leaving in the middle of the game, which that's basically how he retired, if I'm not mistaken. And he has a history of being in trouble with the law and doing and saying a lot of stupid things. So he endorsed Donald Trump the other day. And I did a segment on him. And this 2 minutes of audio that we are going to play for you right now got Antonio Brown very, very upset, so much so that he retweeted this video and got very defensive. I want to play it for you first. This is what I said yesterday on the air. Let's talk about Antonio Brown for a moment. So Antonio Brown, who has a lifelong criminal record, by the way, and can't put two sentences together. He's probably one of the dumbest athletes or former athletes you will ever hear. Decided to campaign for Donald Trump. Again, this guy is illiterate. He's worse at reading than Floyd Mayweather, and that's pretty bad. Antonio Brown, the illiterate moron that he is, spoke at a Donald Trump rally. And have a listen to this incoherent criminal jackass speaking on behalf of the former president.
But before I get too deep in my speech, I want to say, I know the media is going to call me crazy, me and Trump crazy for having me speaking here. But I want to make this clear. We are not. They are. Let's go. You know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, do you really know they want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom? Is that crazy? That's really insane, right? And by the way, tampon Tim Walz, he isn't a real football coach. He could never guard me. Guys, how is business? Booming. Business will be booming going against Tim Walz. Tampon Tim Walz. It'd be really booming going against him.
Guy can't even talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Herschel Walker 2.0. Does Antonio Brown have a brain injury? I don't know. The guy can't even talk. First of all, I don't even know what to say, except for starters, Kamala Harris had nothing to do with tampons in boys' bathrooms. Number two, in not one school in the entire state of Minnesota are tampons in boys' bathrooms. Number three, and by the way, it's Tim Walz. It's not Tim Walsh, you frickin' moron. Antonio Brown, AB, you dumb idiot. It's Tim Walz. Why don't you pronounce some names right, you idiot? Number three, all Tim Walz did is left it up to the schools to decide. That's all he did. And none of the schools implemented it. And what if they did? So, the fallout of that, and if you want to call it fallout, I call it straight up comedy, is that Antonio Brown didn't like that segment, so much so that he retweeted it on social media because it got him that upset. Now, this is a guy who's got millions of followers, right? I'm sure a lot of people talk trash about him every day. He's a piece of trash as far as I'm concerned. And that has nothing to do with the color of his skin. I could care less. Nothing that I said in that segment had anything to do with the color of his skin. And it had everything to do with his criminal past, which I'll get to in a moment, and his stupidity. So AB, as some would like to call him, went on social media and said, quote, and this is tweeting to me because he retweeted my video he's trying to defend himself. He says, I have a college degree. Let's start there before I finish the rest of the statement. He didn't finish getting his college degree in college. He took online classes after, years later. Now, listen, I'm sure that Antonio took those classes himself. I'm sure he didn't pay somebody to take those online classes for him. But anyway, he says, I have a college degree, one I got after finishing playing in the NFL. This is what you guys think of a black man who doesn't vote for who you think I should vote for. One of the dumbest athletes. Can you remember a 300-page playbook? First of all, Anybody who memorizes a 300-page playbook, that doesn't mean you're very intelligent. I could memorize a 3,000-page playbook if you were paying me the kind of money that one time AB was getting paid. By the way, he's filed for bankruptcy, and the $80 million he received playing the game of football blew it all on who knows what. Memorizing a 300-page playbook doesn't make you Albert Einstein. In fact, it doesn't even make you smart. Yes, I do think Antonio Brown, did I say Bennett? I don't know why I said Bennett. Antonio Brown, in my personal opinion, is one of the dumbest former athletes around. Now, besides being illiterate, and if you don't believe me, you can listen to his speech that he attempted to read at this Donald Trump rally. And I'm thinking of Floyd Mayweather because the times that Floyd Mayweather attempted to read, he struggled as well. And then 50 Cent got into a whole thing with him. They called him illiterate. And I remember talking about that on the air many years ago. So this is another excerpt, if you don't believe me, of Antonio Brown speaking at this Donald Trump rally.
But I'm here today representing a man who carries those same values. Donald Trump. He knows success, and he knows what it takes to make America great again. And to be real, we all have experienced highs and lows, especially me in my career as a Super Bowl champion and life as a father to 7 amazing children. I have experienced low points and have to overcome adversity. Just how I watched Donald Trump overcome adversity. No matter what the media threw at him, no matter what people say to try to bring him down, he continued to push forward and keep getting back up. And he's always ready for the fight. Fight, 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 fight. I love that.
I bet you do. I bet you got in a lot of fights in your lifetime. I bet you do. With your 7 kids, with how many different women. Sounds a lot like an orange man, if you want to talk about skin color. Listen, this was pathetic. It was a pathetic speech. And this is a guy that, speaking of kids, has missed making child support payments. This is a guy who assaulted a truck driver over a payment and pleaded no contest, got 2 years of probation. I think I had to pay off this driver $1.3 million, if I'm not mistaken. Brown was sued on allegations of throwing furniture from an apartment balcony that almost killed a toddler. Brown was cited for reckless driving, clocking over 100 miles per hour in a ticket last fall. He didn't show up to the court date, was found guilty in February. In 2019, Brown faced allegations of domestic violence with the mother of one of his children at his home in Florida. This goes on and on and on. He was sued by his personal chef for over $38,000. Claims that Brown fired him because the wide receiver thought a fish head in the freezer was a mob-style threat. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. As far as his personal female trainer, alleged sexual assault, claimed that he masturbated in front of her multiple times without consent. The rap sheet goes on and on for this guy. He's a lifelong criminal, horrible behavior, extremely selfish, can't read, very stupid, and I stand by every single word yesterday that I said about this guy.
Fight, 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 fight.
Sounds like he's really getting the crowd into it. They're really, boy, that crowd sounded almost as bad as a UNLV Air Force game. Sorry, that's a horrible local reference there. It's a national show, but I'm sorry, I had to do it. Not football, basketball. So I stand by everything I said, and I do find it very interesting that there are people on social media, and I could read you a few of them, or I could give you the gist of it, that are calling me a racist now. They're calling me homophobic slurs. Again, par for the course. When you can't win on substance, you'll just call somebody a homophobic slur if you're a MAGA supporter. You'll call me an abuser, which I've never been accused or charged with a crime in my tickets in my life. Never, ever broke the law, never did anything else in my life. So they're calling me everything in the book, right? And I'm laughing at it because obviously I got to them their hero, Antonio Brown, who doesn't pay his child support and physically assaults truck drivers, who blows through $80 million and filed for bankruptcy, who has nothing. Last I heard in court documents, his assets were somewhere around $50,000. So I don't feel sorry for anything I said. Antonio, you are welcome to come on this show. You have an open invitation. Show me how smart you are. I'm very impressed with the fact that you were able to memorize a 300-page playbook. Very, very impressive. I mean, that must mean you're Albert Einstein. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure you wrote that speech yesterday with Tampon Tim, because I'm sure you knew who Tim Walz was before you endorsed Donald Trump. I'm sure you did. You're welcome to come on this show and state the case anytime. You're welcome to come on and tell us why you're supporting Donald Trump and maybe give me a few policies. I guarantee you he couldn't name one. Give me a few policies that you like from the Trump campaign. And by the way, you stupid idiot, Tim Walz allowed schools in the state of Minnesota to decide for themselves if they want to put tampons in boys' bathrooms. And when you talk to one of these idiots like AB, and you ask them, why would that harm children? How would free tampons in boys' bathroom, how would that harm kids? Listen to an explanation that they might try to come up with, because it doesn't. I'll tell you what harms people. Not paying child support. Throwing furniture off a balcony that almost kills a child. Assaulting people. Lying, cheating. Whipping out your junk in front of women without their consent. There are actual videos and images of him doing this. That's harmful to kids. That's harmful to society. Not tampons in boys' bathrooms, which, by the way, wasn't implemented in one school in Minnesota. And if it was, I wouldn't have a problem with it because it doesn't harm anybody. Antonio Brown, like Donald Trump, are a menace to society. Antonio Brown, like Donald Trump, filed for bankruptcy. Antonio Brown, like Donald Trump, usually have no idea what they're talking about. They say things without understanding the meaning of it. And Antonio Brown, like Donald Trump, they are both cheaters, they are both criminals, and they are both bad people. Bad people hang out with bad people. Felons hang out with felons. Cheaters hang out with cheaters. And there's a reason why Antonio Brown has no money. There's a reason why Antonio Brown has no credibility. And that's why Donald Trump reached out to him. And I guarantee you, Antonio Brown will not help Donald Trump get back into the White House.
Fight, 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 fight.
But listen, I'm a very giving person, okay? I'm a charitable guy. I want to help Antonio. So if Antonio could send me his address for Christmas, I will be sending him Hooked on Phonics for his birthday. And I hope he uses it. I really do. I hope he does. Antonio, I'll say it one more time. You're welcome on this show anytime to prove to us how smart you are. But I won't be asking you questions about a playbook that you memorized. I'll be asking you questions about Donald Trump and why you support him.